do it right here, right now. Remixes celebrating 3 years of Black Power Media. That's right. Thank y'all very much for being here and making this happen. Listen, this is the Remix Morning Show as we give you some of that boom bap breakfast. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and let me introduce you to the host with the most. We got no other than Dr. Jerry Ball. And that's it, y'all. Yeah.
What's good, man? How's everybody doing? Welcome. Good morning, everybody.
Welcome out to all our people just checking in on the stream. We see y'all. We got DC Joe Black. We got, that's a long name, but you know who you are. Conrad Lovebug.
Whose name are you skipping for because it's too long?
Salahuddin. Yeah,
Salahuddin Abdul Aziz.
I gotta work on my Islamic names. It's terrible right now. Well, all my names are terrible, but especially African American. But big up to everybody out there. That's right.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome. I did mess up on Saturday. I gave us another year. I've been calling us like 4. And sure? I was just certain. But a number of people, including Dr. CBS, politely commented, "You sure about that 4?" Like, I was like, "My bad." I was like, I just got excited. So, yes. But yeah, I think it is 3. It was 2021, right? It was.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Right. I keep thinking it was 2020, but
I can't believe I've been doing this every week for 3 years. Well, not every week, but damn near every week.
I mean, for the most part, it's yeah. I mean, the time has flown by, and simultaneously feels like it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm. So please continue to show your love. Hit the like button, subscribe, get more subscribers in. We up to about 36.6 or something like that, 3. And send your loot in. Keep us here.
So my short answer, and I was just reminded of this yesterday, Esme, the question being what inspired us to start BPM. So as a concept of creating a different and new Black radical public sphere, which is how I define Peace Cocoa, how I define how I understand what we're doing, is the first, was this technically my first quote unquote publication? Maybe. But Dr. Todd Stephen Burroughs and I, back in like 2003 or 5 maybe, is when, borrowing from him, we had come up with this B-span idea, the Black C-span. Which itself, by the way, we should remember, Brian Lamb, the founder of C-SPAN, told Kwame Ture, I started C-SPAN because I went to one of your speeches and then went home later that night and saw how they distorted it on the local news and thought we need a platform that allows people to be heard in their entirety. So Kwame Ture, so C-SPAN is technically already Black C-SPAN because Kwame Ture was the inspiration for it. Okay. But Todd and I had been talking about this since he sort of ushered me into the grad program at the University of Maryland, and we were talking about it then. So for me, this broader concept has been an effort or something I've been interested in. I had talked about it some years ago, even with Eugene Puryear at one point. And then certainly building with the people at WPFW, the people at Radio CPR in DC, my mixtape radio experience, trying to use the mixtape to create an alternative radio space back in the early aughts, as they say. So when Kalanji did put out the call to start this particular platform and called me and said, let's take the existing I Mix What I Like channel and build it out, I was like, That's bars. Let's go. I was, you know, it was already like I keep thinking of that, like the pinball, the thing was already pulled back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it was just ping.
Bam.
So that's my quick, you know, summary.
Yes. You know what? This morning I got up and I said, you know what? I want to dress like one of my superhero, and I did it. I got my Long John shirt on, white.
Hold up.
I hate you so much, right? I hate you so much. Why is that necessary to mock me at every turn?
Listen, I got my Long John shirt on. I'm trying to.
You can wear yours better than mine. That's what I hate. I hate it. I hate it.
With the matching hat and everything. Yo, you know. Oh! Yes! Let's go! Let's go! The Beige Brigade is in the building. All white. Let's go! Welcome to Remix Morning Show, y'all.
We're gonna call this line of the next iteration of merch is gonna be called the Kamau line.
Yes. Ooh. Nice. Yeah.
I need a little fashion after me. That's right. Let's make that happen.
Yeah, you do need fashion.
You know what? Wait a minute. Somebody said light skin.
The Beige Brigade light skin triplets that's what it is.
Yo, but adding on to
Testosterone Tuesdays.
Testosterone Tuesdays.
What's Wednesdays, Jared?
Women's Wednesdays, Womb Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Yes.
I like that.
And
Wisdom.
Thursday?
And Thursday.
Whoever shows up Thursday.
They Thursdays.
Yeah, we all
included. Yeah, everybody, you know, that's how it works.
Librarian, big up. Thank you for that $10. Keeping us going here for another 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more years. We was talking about the story of Black Power Media and how it came about, and adding on to that story, me, Kamau, and Kalanji was doing Renegade Culture, like he said, and we was just like, all right, let's work together. I was doing production and a little bit of coming on screen and stuff like that, but they was like, you know what, let's do it, and it took the format for Renegade Culture and brought it to the Remix Morning Show, and here it is.
And you already said like the name Remix is a combination of Renegade and I Mix What I Like.
Yep.
I think I did that. Did I do that?
You can have
that. It's an I Me world. It's an I Me world.
It is an I Me world.
I Me world.
So you can have that. But yeah, I mean, I was about I did always fantasize of having a morning show though. This has always been like I have always wanted to do a morning show. I'm an early riser, you know, early morning person, and I like morning shows, and most of them that I see are whack or at least not as good as this. So this part.
I think Jeffrey Wright could play you. He just cried too much.
Jeffrey Wright in his movies.
It needs to be a bigger person. It needs to be like so this is how when The Rock, when Dwayne Johnson gets older and comes off the steroids.
You can't be serious.
No, I am serious. I think he would be good for that. Like once he has to get older, and he's gotta come off.
Make him look older. That make him look older.
Well, but then he's also got to come off. He's got to come off the Terrence Howard.
Who's Gary Dordan?
I don't know who Gary Dordan is.
I need to do with the locks. The lights can do with the locks.
I don't know.
Get the guy to play Bob Marley. He could play me.
He looks more like Kamau.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I think, what's his name? Who played Bob Marley in this horrific, atrocious trash film?
Is it on Netflix? Bad. Where is it on? Or is it in?
No, it's still in theaters. It doesn't even. It needs to
Tubi?
be. It needs to be nowhere. It really needs to be. It needs to be like a first-year film student's. Really, my issue really isn't about the quality of the film or the acting. It's the absence of politics, the bad storytelling. They don't even. Peter Tosh doesn't even speak or have his name mentioned.
What?
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just
that's
ridiculous.
right. They're right. The Rock is our age, B. The Rock
Is
over
he?
50. Yeah, The Rock is, I think, over 50.
Well, then he needs. Yeah, you're right. That is a good point. Actually, I keep thinking he's much younger. But then he needs. I need him to get off the
Shamar Moore. As long as he got to wear that cornrow wig, though.
Not the cornrow wig.
I have no friends.
No, The Rock is 51. Damn.
Yeah, The Rock is old.
So I just need. Well, then he's got to come off the growth hormones and all that other stuff. Yeah, he's because that. But yeah, he's him or Vin Diesel could play me. That was always.
See Vin Diesel too. I can see Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel could if he would have to. He probably have to stay off the gym for a little bit too. Go drink some beer and eat some pizza for a little bit. And grow your gray.
Hey, guess who was in town at Black Man's Lab yesterday? Your people's Charles Barron. He said big up.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah, he's in town. He came through the Black Man Lab, and everybody wanted to bring him back. So he was dropping jewels.
Charles is fantastic. He might move down. In fact, I know he has a spot down here. He might move down here. I think as he gets closer to retirement or something. So.
And the sister that wrote a book on capitalism. You stupid.
Malika.
Malika, yeah, she was there too. Telling you, Monday's the place to be. Black Man Lab when you come to ATL. Listen.
I should have came out.
Yeah, you never do.
Nope.
Oh, damn. It's just
we'll get you out.
I think you did send me something too.
I mean,
you usually send it to me like the day of. So you send it to me like 2 hours before the event. Like you don't really want me there.
You might be right. I was like,
I'm not might be right. Like what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to make plans, get babysitting in that time period.
That's the $5,000 inheritance check of invitations.
What you need a babysitter for? You got a babysitter.
My wife may have plans too.
Okay.
Damn. You know what?
Can she go with him or go out somewhere?
Yeah, she could come, but she would have to go on the Black Women's Lab side.
Oh, it's strictly all men.
Yeah,
like women can't even be
except
there
for the
all.
guest. Like you have she's definitely a woman.
She didn't come through. She came after once it was over with and came inside and spoke to Charles.
Damn, really?
Listen, when you do a rites of passage, you don't combine women and men.
Hold up, there we go, Sugar Shan. There you go.
Oh,
there we go.
I can see that too.
Get Boris out there. There we go.
I can see he needs a job. I can see that too.
He got a job. He married the what's her name?
Is she working now though? What's her name? Is she working?
What's her name?
She always working something. But yeah, so that's what it is. We got a dope show for y'all. Like I said, we celebrating 3 years. Thank y'all for getting us here. And I guess we can go ahead and Cynthia Rhodes is always trying to produce. What is that? What is that about, Cynthia?
What did Cynthia say? Put it back up. What she
slap the mat.
Damn,
we just hit 8:15.
Yeah, it's like a banter be killing them. Like, oh my God.
Is this a rites of passage program?
Yeah,
that's funny.
It's similar.
Black Man's Lab.
Yeah, it's similar.
No, because we're all. No, I thought she was making reference to us all being in white. That's what.
I think she's talking about Black Man's Lab.
Oh,
you might be talking about both.
I'm a bet on the outfits and not Black Man's Lab, but I'll let her answer that. But shout out to Ricky and Bat, by the way. They were all at the crib Saturday. Really? For a discussion of George Jackson. It was dope. My daughter sat in and took a bunch of notes, and we're asking a bunch of questions later, and it was dope.
It was a political education class.
It was like it's a sort of it's I guess PE political education. In fact, it is the political education team put together, and they put together a fantastic presentation, by the way, too. A great summary of the book. Beautiful slides, so it was a very good discussion, and it was dope. My wife and daughters again all shout out and praises to them. They got the house together, hooked up some food. Yeah, we had a really good time. It was dope.
I know Ricky probably ate you out of house and home. She seemed like the type of person that come to your house with like foil and Tupperware.
It's
never
always
has
the
lids.
I
skinny
agree
ones.
with that for some reason.
Yeah, never has lids. She just got foil to wrap the
skinny as
Tupperware.
hell, but sits down there probably like
punishing the
down.
plates.
Yeah, I can see that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm making up things
It's
about her.
crazy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Came in late too. And Ricky came in late
and tried to take over, right?
And of course, but made sure she stayed in the buffet line. I'm just
definitely left with plates.
It's like half the chat was at your house, B. What's going on?
Oh yeah, we had a good crowd. I mean, we haven't had other than like I think my daughter's parties or something. We haven't had that many people at the house since we got here, because we moved here basically just before COVID. So we used to host at our other spot all the time. We used to have stuff all the time. So it felt good to have another politicized gathering at the house, you know. I know the neighbors were like, what is going on? They was probably calling various agencies, and it was like, there's not been this many black folks piling up in here in a minute. It was like, what are they doing?
I know the Hicks was infuriated.
And they would have been right. They were like, are they planning the revolution? And like, yes,
yep.
actually they are.
Even the black neighbors were outside like, this is a little bit too many.
There's a lot going on over here.
Property values.
You're not staying, are you? You're not staying. No, just playing. No, it was dope. It was really a good time, man. Shout out to them, and I look forward to doing that again. Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and get to slapping the map, and we're gonna get to some.
Isn't it a break first, and then you slap the map?
It is.
Oh
break.
yeah. Well, if you would let me finish talking.
That's not what you was gonna say. I had to correct you, son.
Okay, so we're going to get ready to take a break, and after that, we're going to slap the map. Is that cool? That's good? Does that work?
That's
all
good.
Right, right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. All right. Yeah, welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Air Doctor. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and tell a friend it's on again. Patreon.com. You could go there, become a member, and you can see some things. Also, you could drop some change right here in the chat room. We appreciate everything you could do, no matter if it's a penny. Well, let's go a nickel and up. So let's get to the weather report. Let's talk about how nice and beautiful it is outside. Let's start off in Jersey. Let's take it to my hometown, Trenton. Trenton representing, big up. We got a high today of 40 degrees. Next, let's take it to the Midwest. Chicago, 49. Who knew that it would be warmer in Chicago than Jersey? That's crazy. Next, let's take it to Houston. They got a high today of 75 degrees. Oakland, 58 degrees. Now, let's take it down to Kingston, Jamaica, where the man Bob Marley from. 84 degrees. Next, let's take it all the way to Africa, and we talking about Tanzania. Let's talk about Tanzania. They got a high today of 90 degrees. Now, let's talk about hot and cold. Now, I talked about it before, how a lot of these white boys is taking over. What if I was to tell you a white boy won the slam dunk contest in the NBA 2 years in a row? I would not be lying. That's right, y'all. White boy did it again. Slam dunk contest. They wasn't even in it before. Now they winning them every year. Now that was kind of cold, but I'll tell you what was kind of hot. Your boy Kevin Durant. It's like, I know how to rhyme. Matter of fact, check this verse out right here.
Look, rest in peace to Barbara Davis. We hit another layer. When she speak to me, it's like she's saying prayers. I feel like Randy Moss when he was on the Raiders. Man, they love the haters. This woman so fine, I give her cash payments. Baby, I'm just so glued to the basics. I wanted more room, so I copped the crib sitting adjacent. In this whole world, I'm Freddie Jason. I'm sitting in the places of great but never complacent. Yeah, baby, I'm a stoner. Yeah, I took that long walk up the hill that made me alone. And nah, baby, I don't like being humble. I hang with mongrels. Gotta pay attention. There's a God sitting amongst you, and you know it.
The money that was made.
Ooh, Kevin Durant said, I got some bars for you. There it is. It's about time. You know what I'm saying? I always see him hanging around all these rappers and stuff like that, producing and all that. So he's like, let me get on his microphone. And the flow is all right. Once he learns the flow like with the beat a little bit more, I think he got it. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and get back to our Remix Morning crew right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
So what you're saying is he needs the ear doctor rhyming boot camp.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was terrible. You can see there's something there, but it needs a little.
Yeah, it's something there. It's something there.
I mean, not that he should be taking it. Hopefully, it's just a hobby. Lord knows. I hope he doesn't put no albums out.
I mean, if Shaq could put him out, I mean,
and that was a mistake, right?
Y'all sleeping on Shaq, yo.
No, I'm
Shaq
not.
one of Jersey's finest. Y'all better stop acting like he ain't do a song with Rakim, Big Daddy, B.I.G. Huh?
That's disrespectful.
As a rapper?
He just recently did a freestyle that was nice. Come on, man. He a cop, I get it. But he can
He's
rhyme.
definitely a cop, and he blocked Mumia's documentary from his movie theater too in Pennsylvania.
Oh wow!
In Philly.
Stop playing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Damn, Shaq, you fucking up Jersey name now.
I just remember the performance of Kobe, How My Ass Taste, after he won his championship without Kobe. Pause and disgusting and bad rhyming and everything. It was.
Wait a minute, that was a whole song he did, like a diss song.
He did a whole. It was a famous, like viral, I guess, whatever. Back whenever it was him. Moment. He was at some party after Cellar. It wasn't an actual track. But he's on stage and he's like, "Kobe, how my ass taste. Kobe, how my ass."
Somebody find that. Yo, come on.
It was terrible.
Somebody find that for the next break or something.
Right,
that sounds hilarious. I need to hear that.
You never saw
Maybe I just don't remember it. I was like, I need to hear
that. That's how I remember him as an MC. So I don't, even after the Shaq Fu and with the Fu Schnickens and all of that, but no.
All right, so my Beige Power Media host, I'll catch you on the next break. Peace.
And I agree. Let's slap the map though. Wait, let's officially slap the map, and we'll be back here with the remix.
Slap it.
The chat is hilarious. Welcome back to the Remix Morning Show. And as promised.
You know how I be. Last week Kobe couldn't do without me. You know how I be. Last week Kobe couldn't do without me. I call myself big, but I'm not as good as Biggie. I call myself big because I live next to Diddy. Excuse me, Diddy lived next to me. So in the hood, dog, I feel like B.I.G. Because if Biggie was still here, he would be right there on Star Island in the mansion somewhere chilling, sitting on about $500 million. Cause me and Guns combined, that's $500 million. For real, dog. Now that's B.I.G. Ain't nobody in the world do it bigger than me. That's like a white boy trying to be more than me. That's like a homeless cat having more figures than me. That's like Patrick Ewing having more rings than me. That's like rappers having call script things than me. That's like you saying to yourself you're better than me. That's like Kareem saying to himself he's better than me. Now stop, think about that. It ain't about that. It's about B.I.G. aka Big Shaq. Now that's the difference between first and last place. Kobe, nigga, tell me how my ass tastes. Okay, Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes. Okay, everybody, Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes. I'm a horse. Kobe ratted me out. That's why I'm getting divorced.
Oh!
He said Shaq gave a bitch a meal. I don't do that because my name's Shaquille.
I
love him. I don't leave him.
Okay.
I got a vasectomy. Now I can't breed him. Kobe, how my ass tastes. Everybody, Kobe, how my ass tastes.
Pause.
You couldn't do it without me. Kobe, you couldn't do it without me. Kobe, you can't do it without me. Everybody, Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes. Yeah, you can't do it without me. Yeah, you can't do it without me.
All right.
Yeah, you can't do it.
All right.
Kobe.
That freestyle wasn't nice though.
It was not that bad at all.
Exactly.
As a freestyle, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that wasn't a real freestyle.
That wasn't no written.
He wrote that shit down. Son.
No, he didn't.
He just came up. You just think he came up on stage?
Yes. That's what freestylers do.
No,
I
that's
can do
what
that.
freestyle. That's not what Shaq does.
Shaq been in hip hop for all his life, DJing, MCing, everything. Stop playing.
I don't know about all that. But it was effective. It was effective.
This is not Dr. Bald hating other bald people. I respect the bald. The legit bald, not those who do it out of trying to be stylish. The actual bald. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, only the actual bald. I'm very Larry David with this. Like you can't just shave your head and be like we're all bald together. No.
Yo.
Bald Power Media.
2 out of 3.
Yeah, I know. They're going to be talking about your forehead. All
right, I hate you so much. That's why you wear that hat, motherfucker.
Oh, man. Shout out again to Erica. Erica Brown from Brokish, both again for her incredible presentation last week in New Orleans and their forthcoming work. That's incredible as well, but also for lacing us with a full run sheet. Plenty to get to this morning. Kamal, I don't know if you had anything in particular on your mind.
No, I don't today. If you got one, is there anything you want to pull up on the run sheet?
No, I mean, we could just go in order. I mean, they're all equally interesting to me, and I do think maybe I need to dust off my lawn chairs or whatever and get ready to go see Frankie Beverly and Maze, who announced
we dressed.
We are ready. We are dressed already, ready to go. They've announced or his "I Want to Thank You" farewell tour, and as you see here, we are all already in our proper attire, ready to go. I have never seen Frankie Beverly or Maze, and I've not seen them live.
My cousin went. My cousin went, and she said that he should retire.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah, no, it's actual facts. Like it wasn't a good show because
they're a little older now. You mean?
Yeah, it's about time for Frankie.
Yeah, I mean he's got to be. I mean, my man been kicking it since at least the '80s, if not before the '70s, maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't happy feelings. He said when he sung it.
Well, all respect, dude. Frankie has been a staple musician, so I'm gonna give all respect to Frankie. I don't know nothing about who married. I know nothing about anything about his past right now, unless if I throw something up there.
I thought you was Googling as we were talking.
I was about to, but I'm leaving. He's too much of an institution.
Exactly. I don't want to know.
I'm gonna leave him alone for right now.
Do you know what I saw? One of my students' faces yesterday. I saw because they heard from me yesterday for the first time that Fanon had married a white woman.
Oh, they didn't know. Oh,
they did. This is one of my younger students. They didn't know this, and the face, the struggle, and I just said, I just said, yeah, it's okay, baby girl, you'll be okay. It's okay, but yeah, no. Every time, I mean, obviously for certain generations, some of us growing up going to the clubs and shows, everywhere you go, if that track, if that or another track drops, Before I Let Go, all of that. I mean, it's staple for every black gathering, wedding.
It's the
whatever.
end of the party track, B. It's
at least one of them for sure. Yeah,
it's like the last song. Like when you do the last song. It's like, whoa, whoa, everybody jumps up and got on. And then everybody knew afterwards it was time to go home. Maybe some Stevie or something like that. But it became that popular. It's like you couldn't shut down the party without Little Frankie.
No. And then the go-go versions. I mean, it staples in the go-go community as well. Absolutely. I mean, actually, probably over the years, I've heard more versions in the go-go than the actual track at this point. I mean, because it was a staple for for those of us at the grown folks go-go.
Mm-hmm.
So, or bands would play it as a warm-up before it got too wild.
Come on, somebody said Beyonce. Beyonce did not do Shy, but that's Frankie Beverly's song.
First of all, okay, wait a minute now. Speaking of Beyonce, I heard one of these new country album tracks yesterday with the video included.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this is being received, but I feel like I'm already too old for this world. I'm like, man, this is I don't want this.
You don't want her crossing over?
No. Why is she doing? And then I'm seeing all these people and black people in cowboy hats and boots doing these dances and stuff in the video. And I don't know. I had a very old person out of place retrograde reaction. I was like, I don't want this. I need my races separated. I need my segregation.
Man, that's a Texas thing, man. Stop playing. They've been doing that. That's part of their culture.
I know, man. I told you it was inappropriate. I'm just playing. I mean, not playing. I'm just saying. I mean, I was looking at it like, what is going on? I don't know, but maybe
I heard about it, but I haven't seen it. I don't think I want to see it either. Same thing. It's like I don't think I want to see her doing. I didn't even watch that picture y'all showed last week. So
it wasn't great. It was album of the year.
No. I thought the white girl, Taylor Swift, won album of the year or some shit. I think that's the thing. Yeah, she just released this. How could it be album of the year?
I don't know. I need my apartheid. That's messed up.
At least in the
but a little bit, yeah, like a little bit. Like I'm conditioned by my conditioning. Like all of this. All of this crossover is just too much. No, yeah. So we did slap the map, everybody. We did. We're in the run sheet.
That's news.
This is news.
Yo, you got to look at it as Beyonce's taking
on stage and stay on stage.
Beyonce's taking our country music.
Stay on stage.
Beyonce's taking our country music back.
And stay on stage.
She's liberating it back for us.
I'm sure you're right. You're right.
I
Absolutely.
I believe that thing where people like, yes, black folks were cowboys. It don't mean like we were like you know. And fucking
we created music. They got everything from us. We did it all.
Apparently, actually, I have black gangster and black cowboy traditions in my family. I need to see if my brother pops up in the chat and get some confirmation on that. But yeah, there's some older pictures of some black cowboys down that ball line. So yeah. You know, but I'm you know, okay. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Everybody should do whatever they want and have fun doing it. It just was my sensibilities were disturbed, and I'm just sharing that a little bit. I'll get over it. In fact, Daruba yesterday told me in chat. Shout out to Daruba. He said, get over your feelings. He was like, who gives a fuck about your feelings? I was like, me, God. No, I'm just playing. Me. But yeah, sometimes you got it. So yeah, maybe I just need to get over I'm being a little too, but whatever. But yeah, I was like, I just wasn't ready for it. But shout out to Beyonce.
Yeah, and since we're on good music, good vibes, dancing, let me share this next story because I think this is a movement here that y'all need to recognize and be a part of.
Indeed. Oh man.
Apparently. Let me do a little setup, I guess.
Can you make it?
I can make it bigger.
Yeah, we got to so everybody can enjoy this for you know.
So this is the New York Police Department dance team, and as someone noted who put this out, is they're cutting back on other things. Somebody's got time to do all of this and jerseys and the rest of it. So y'all enjoy it. Relation stuff that was badly done or badly portrayed. I don't even know who thought that was a good idea, but yeah, these are the cops having fun. Again, as costs get cut back, as our communities get raided, as gentrification hits all-time highs, this is what people have time to do and stuff.
You know what they're really practicing for? They are the backup dancers on KRS's next tour. That's what that is really a rehearsal for.
Nice.
So
that makes perfect sense. As he plays black cop, he takes everything out. He goes black cop, and then they're like, all right, even the white ones, they don't care. They don't care.
It's all good. That's
yeah. And it was on like no local news in New York. So that's that. Yeah, that's crazy. It's just crazy.
I would be interested to see. I am curious how New Yorkers responded to that.
They made it feel like such a good time thing. I'm sure that they got, bring out friends and families. And again, that's the whole point, right? They rehabbing, let's use that word, rehabbing the image through this fakery of like, let's put these folks out here today. I was like, I don't even know, like, I'm like, I got broken from that. I was like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this?
It really, it's, I mean, seriously, all jokes aside, it really is disgusting. I mean, it really, and I saw somebody in the chat say it's like the Israeli, the IOF, when they do their little TikToks and all that other kind of stuff. It's gross. It's gross. And shout out to my students who I picked up on it. They've been using the IOF language and stuff too. I was like, go ahead, Morgan State. Look at my little Morgan State, my little babies at Morgan State getting radical. I love it. Anyway, so shout out.
You
to
feel
them.
like after, do folks ever come back to you and tell you like how your teachings or your class just opened up new worlds to them or whatever?
Well, selfishly, it was really dope just yesterday, in fact, because to celebrate President's Day, my daughters were home from school, so they came to my classes, which is always great. And during one of the classes, well, actually all three of the classes at one point or another, it came up in different ways that, again, I'm one of maybe a handful, if not the only professor these students have that is willing to not only talk about it, but be openly anti-Zionist in his analysis. And they love it. And no one was specifically saying I'm crediting you with this, that, or the third, but they're saying, they were acknowledging that space is a space that helps them develop a critical. So that was dope. And it's always good, because my daughters, they're unimpressed with me about everything. So anytime I get praised in front of them, in an unscripted way, it's just dope, so it's like, they're like, oh.
Now, are you at all ever worried about the backlash? Like this, I saw some other stories, some other things. I'm forgetting the professor name, Rickford or something like that, who's faced
Russell Rickford, yeah.
Yeah, who's faced some backlash based on his teachings or whatever. Have you ever felt like this is I know you don't necessarily care that much, but do you ever feel like this is about to happen or towards has
I don't know about well, one, I can't let it go. That shout out to Rickford, and I'm all on his side in terms of this issue in his free speech and backlash. But he did take a shot at our live reinvention book. Oh. And they never gave us a chance to engage. Mm-hmm. And I we had a little friendly exchange discussion about that, But that aside, he's absolutely in the right to do what he said. And when I read his speech, actually, and it wasn't, because I was like, wow, did he go too far? Maybe did he not too far, but did he do what? And it was like it was just a good, Palestinians are people speech, like mm-hmm. And it was but I always feel at Morgan like something's about to happen. So whether this was going on or not, I'm always like, they're about to do something. So I just keep going. I don't, but yeah, I don't feel entirely, I don't feel like I have all the protection in the world, or I don't feel, but I don't feel, yeah. So, but I'm always waiting. And I was joking with somebody. I'm always joking with somebody about this, but every 2 weeks, check the bank account. The check's still coming. The insurance is still on.
Look for any new mail.
I'll keep coming.
Are they the type to do it? Do you think they're the type to do it to have hey, Jared, can you come into my office, or some email?
The way I've been treated, I don't know how they would do it with everybody. And I've seen and I've heard some stories about some very aggressive and hostile treatment with other people, and even experienced some. But what I would expect it would be that nothing would be said directly, and I would just wake up one day and not have not have a schedule. The check would stop. and then I would have to, run down what exactly are they claiming is to be done,
Yeah.
because everything one of the most insidious parts of my personal experience, and some others that I know, but others get it. It's a variety of ways. They're very diverse in their methods. But the way I've experienced it is everything on paper, everything in email is, he's a 99 out of 100 rated professor. He's great with the students. We appreciate your support. I get the little thanks for your 10 or 20 years of whatever, 15 years of service, letters. And
Mhm.
and then it's just an unspoken marginalization at this point. So it's like it's frustrating in some way, because there is nothing you can say they're doing this or they said that. It's just so it's difficult to explain, but that's what I get. So that's what I would think would happen. But again, they've put out, in response to student protests, the president of the university has reminded people, you cannot have an unsanctioned gathering that is used to be critical of the university. That is outside of what is acceptable, again. So, but
You
no,
cannot
I
have
would
a
expect,
demo that is critical of the university.
you would no. So there's this.
Wow.
He sent the specific policy, and it says you can, if you get your prior permit, so to speak, to do a protest of Morgan's relationship with Israel, you can then do it. The likelihood of that happening is not very high. So then if you just gather without permission and then that gathering is critical of the university, that's the problem. So if you gather in an unsanctioned gathering, you just can't use that gathering to be critical of Morgan and its policies.
So the claim is, it's not what you're saying. It's the fact that you didn't get the permit, that they denied you anyway.
So I can't imagine anybody getting permission to have a public critique of, and yes, Ricky is absolutely right in shouting out the Black Underground at Morgan. They're
Student
also involved
organization.
in the leadership. Yeah. In an unsanctioned one that for the aspect of their journalism project, at least, I'm officially going to be their faculty sponsor, whatever it's called. I don't know. But again, it's like it's just one marginal supporting another marginalized effort. Although they're not marginalized. They have a bigger audience than Morgan State social media. They have a strong impact in among the students, and even students who aren't officially working with them. I can see even in my classes, their analysis is. Yeah, so, yeah, they're doing good work. It's.
Well, speaking of analysis,
Yeah. Yes.
So this, I didn't know if this was on the run sheet, but I was going to bring this up, and I do see people talking about it a little bit. So Cornell West, who has not made an appearance with us for a while, I don't know why, decided to do a tweet and say, basically, my prayers are with the precious families of the courageous Russian political prisoner and late Alexei, is it Navalny?
Navalny.
Just as I pray for my dear brothers Mumia Abu Jamal, Imam Jamil Abdullah Al-Amin, Leonard Peltier, and sister, I think it's Najis Mohammadi, and all other political prisoners in U.S. and world. Free all political prisoners under cruel and unjust systems of oppression. And so there was backlash from various folks about the sort of false equivalency of mixing in some of the political prisoners with the Russian political prisoner who was killed, right, or died in jail or whatever. And so that is something, particularly using somebody who had a known history of white nationalism in their past, and to equate them to our political prisoners and other folks who've been suffering under Western regimes. Again, it's another way in which Cornell West, I think, is attempting to move out beyond being a left advocate, but seems to be mixing apples and oranges or whatever. So I'll stop there for now.
It's a mess. It's just an absolute mess. I saw. I don't even pretend to know much about Navalny. I know there's a lot more to be said about him than. But I just saw that. It's so disturbing, and I'm not. I have reached out to Cornell West in the last few weeks, just to check in and see if he'd be willing to come back. But I have to admit that, in part because of his decision with the Green Party and then and then stuff like this, I'm just less interested at this point, personally. I don't speak for the platform, obviously, but I haven't really chased it down like that. Huh?
Yeah. No, I'm always curious about who's giving, like, what advice he's taking.
So that's where I was going. Yeah, like who's in his corner at this point? What is and look, we all have moments where we would have liked somebody to maybe say, Jared,
don't send that out.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. But who's?
I think I know a couple of people in his camp who are like, and I think it actually first got introduced to me by somebody who's doing a little work with them. And was like, did you see, like, I was doing it casual, like, hey, man, how you doing? Good to see you. And like, how's things going? And he was like, things are a mess. And then they showed me the tweet. It was like, oh, wow. So, yeah, it's just like.
I get that impression, too. He doesn't want a corner. He doesn't want a team. He doesn't want to be. That was sort of the critique when he left with the Green Party, and that. He doesn't want to be beholden to any structure or any advising. And it's right, Ricky. He's a free black man. He's a free black man, an independently thinking free black man. So that's because remember, I was trying to ask him. I think in our very first sort of iteration of him coming to this platform, one of my questions was attempted to ask him about. I forgot exactly what he was doing, but he was equating certain white American heroes with revolutionary traditions of black struggle, and it was like, what is this? And he had whatever his answer was, and this seems like another version of that. And he, of course, would want credit for mentioning the political prisoners, and then he would do a version of what I hear people do, like with films and stuff. They'll say, well, at least he mentioned it, and people will then follow up and. They'll see the difference themselves between Mumia and Navalny and all of that, and I'm like, that's not how it works.
He's only to be after it's again, like, and again, he definitely has some politics, but it feels like the reach of those politics or the way in which he uses them, historically speaking, and today, is not only about notoriety and getting a platform. But it's not about organizing any particular section of people or creating structures or organization. It's more, I just want to be able to say what I want to say, unfortunately get some checks and keep it moving or whatever. It just doesn't feel like it's locked in on anything beyond what his personal free thinking self is allowed to do, right? With no discipline of thought, no discipline of ideas. And again, obviously Cornell is a brilliant man, but even brilliant people need to be pulled back, or like have somebody, like you said, who can tell them, what are you attempting to achieve? Like, are you appealing? Do you think you're appealing to a wider electorate by doing this? And I don't even think I don't think the dude, obviously he can't think he has a chance of winning, as much as some other people seem to have thought he did at one point. But I think it's more that he is thinking about what is his next steps in terms of his life, in terms of having attention drawn towards him. And I think these kind of things, and he continually will have platforms to speak to. It's not like people are closing down their platforms. Come on ours. He just goes on somebody else's platform, and because he's famous, people will allow him to say anything he wants to say, and they'll be happy that he came on, and then he will keep on moving forward with like sort of this, messy, smashed up politics that doesn't equate to anything in terms of pushing structures or calling out imperialism. And like you said, he'll say, "Oh no, I called it out. Didn't you see that?" But it's like, yeah, that's not really what you did, though. You equated, yeah.
So I know we got a break coming up, so maybe I'll save this or we can bring it back up in after the break. But it reminds, I was just asked and early this morning watched the 1 hour that was sent to me, this new to review this new documentary coming out called the Four Died Trying. And it's about this consecutive assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Malcolm X, Dr. King, and then Robert Kennedy. And not as bad as what Cornell West is doing here, but first of all, it's a fantastically produced documentary. I mean, it is edited brilliantly, but I'm uncomfortable with saying. So on the one hand, yeah, the state may have seen all of these four as threats and engaged in having them targeted and assassinated. But the particular reasons, I think, need to still be sussed out. And I feel like, to try to say that they were all similarly targeted for a similar critique of Vietnam, for instance, although all of them did have a critique of Vietnam, I think so again, it's not as nearly as bad as trying to put Navalny next to Mumia and saying, hey, we're all political prisoners. But I feel like I was watching it and I'm still feeling it. And then especially when they have Robert Kennedy Jr. in there as one of the pundits talking about his father, given what his politics are, I'm like, and of course I got Andy Young talking about Dr. King. So I'm going to talk more about it tomorrow during this Malcolm X thing. But I would be interested in hearing what you have to say about that.
Yeah. No, I want to come back to that.
Okay.
Do you have a preview of the doc? Like, is there any sort of preview of it? Any short?
There was one sent to me with a password, so I'm assuming they don't want me to play it. But I think I'm being fair and accurate in describing what's happening. I have a lot.
There, yeah. Let's do our break and come back and pick it up.
Right on. Ear Doctor, what's up,
Doctor?
Man?
Come on up.
All right. Yo, I didn't know this happened. I would. Anyone who watched Cornell West debate Dr. John Henry Clark knows what kind of time he's on. That was some 30 years ago. I didn't know they debated. That's wild.
So let's just one thing, because I'm very familiar with this. Mm-hmm. So one, it was my introduction to Dr. Carr. Sorry for the maybe 30 years or whatever ago, because he moderated that discussion and did a very good job doing it. And I used to tell Carr that I judged my own intellectual development because when I first listened to the tape, I didn't even understand the questions. So I felt like I got to the point where I at least understand the questions. I may not have the answers, but I at least understood the questions. And so I thought it was, and I would not call it a debate per se, especially because it wasn't organized over a particular topic or anything like that. It was more, they called it was officially titled The Meeting. And it was, and West was incredibly deferential to Dr. Clark. What others have also, but to the point of the comment, you get this, you do see what West does. He brings in his liberalism underneath the praise of an obviously more radical thinker, and does it in a way that's disarming, so that even where there's disagreement, it can't really get to the level of, because he's like, oh, I used to sit at the feet of Dr. Clark. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I would have people come and tell me, I was always at those gatherings at Hunter College, and West wasn't over there. He stayed across the street wherever he was teaching in his more whatever. He wasn't doing. But what I've always credited West with was, and maybe there's more of a hustle to it and I'm too naive, was that he would be willing, regardless of his fame and notoriety, to sit with Clark, to reference Clark, and then obviously with others, including Minister Farrakhan later and whatever. He would never disavow people to his left. He's still here, but he's at least willing. So in this way, what he's doing is somewhat consistent, but it is equally flawed. So I just wanted to throw a little bit of that in, just a little bit.
I mean, it's
but it's
almost
a great discussion. Yeah,
it's the opposite side of him doing the ADOS thing, right? So he will sit with people who's, at least he claims he doesn't, those politics don't necessarily represent him, but he gives cover to those things when he does that, particularly when he's doing on the right, when he's doing things with ADOS, where he's calling this guy a political prisoner and putting his picture up with Mumia. It brings a lot of confusion to the issue, which is not to say that the guy wasn't a political prisoner, right? He, in the classic definition of what a political prisoner is, he was put in jail because of his political beliefs or because of his challenge to whoever the authority figure was at the time. But that does not mean that he's in the same way a political prisoner as Mumia was, or Mumia is, or as some of the other folks here, Leonard Peltier and so forth. It is not the same thing, but when people see it, they will go equating the two because they see them next to each other. Or they'll see the things about ADOS and think, oh, this is something that I should think deeply or more about. And he's not having debates with them either. He's not having these discussions with them about their politics and how right-wing they are or their anti-immigration stuff. He was up there, chopping it up and laughing and being introduced and receiving praise and giving praise. So there's nothing about it that makes the politics seem defined in some way. It just seems to be sort of an elastic band to get next to anything that's popular. And that's for me is anything that's popular. He seems to get close to or whatever.
And Anthony, yeah, right on. Come out. West, I don't agree with this. West was not he did not participate in condemning publicly Dr. Clark or anyone else. But what he didn't do was condemn Gates for condemning Clark and others publicly in the New York Times as part of building his career. And then West, of course, would maintain a friendly relationship with Gates, even through that monstrosity of the Wonders of the African World documentary series years ago and all that other stuff that launched Gates to where he is today. But he didn't. We got to be at least fair and accurate on that one. West was not out there condemning Clark and doing all that kind of stuff. Now he said Malcolm X was a nihilist in Race Matters, which is like he said something like he trended towards nihilism or something like that in Race Matters, but. Like it's just this nihilist, like someone who just doesn't believe in anything, is willing to destroy everything, and doesn't really have any clarity around what they're doing. It was disrespectful and incorrect, and part of what West needed to do to build that early 1990s career to get where he is now. I mean, you got to get that white mainstream support, and so you got to have some critique of what is the actual left as you build yourself as the acceptable spokesperson for the left. And that's why what he's doing now is the disturbing part. And again, to contradict myself, this is why seeing him be deferential and polite to Dr. Clark can be seen as disingenuous, could be argued to be disingenuous if you're not going to extend those politics to their logical conclusion and then use your rightward stance to side with people who were obviously the enemy of all of this. So I don't know that I'm being really clear here, but I think somewhere in there, someone can make use of what I said, and I'm sure people in the chat can, figure that out, and I thank them for it in advance.
All right. So let's go ahead and get ready to take another break. I got a question for the chat room, question for y'all too when we come back off of this break. Looking like Yoruba priesthood is going on here. We're going to come right back after this break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. BPM. Ding, ding, ding. All right. So big up everybody that's tuning in right here, right now. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Air Doctor. Please make sure y'all hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And go to patreon.com, become a member over there and see footage that's rare. Drop some change right here. It'll be all good in the hood. All right. With that said, I had a question, yo. We just, well, not we, but a lot of people just celebrated President's Day. So I was like, who was the top 4 worst presidents. So I started doing a little research and came up and seen something. And here's what I seen. Number 4, let's start there. Number 4 is they had a survey and they said it was this guy, Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce, he was known for expanding the borders, thereby adding several slave states, which helped set the stage for the Civil War. Okay, I didn't know that. Wait a minute, is that the right guy? I believe so. All right, so next we have Andrew Johnson. Now this guy right here who served in 1875. Well, he died in 1875. He was term was in 1865. He survived impeachment after opposing Reconstruction, including the 14th Amendment. So that's what they say. I was like, okay, all right. So then next, number 2 came to, you know it, Donald Trump. Now we know about Donnie. He came out and he was impeached twice. He had legal issues, criminal charges, and he's running again. So he was looked at as the second worst. And the first worst was no other than James Buchanan. Now this guy, he refused to challenge either the spread of slavery or the growing block of states that became the Confederacy. Okay, well, that's what they say. Now I would have had to add no other than Ronnie to this mix somewhere. I'm just saying. But those are the top 4 that they're saying. But I would definitely have to add Ronnie. I got 2 words: crack epidemic. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning crew and see what they think right here on the Remix Morning show.
For my 2 cents, come out. Let me let you go first because go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, obviously, I think all the presidents are bad because they serve a certain interest, right? They're not our interest. But I think you can do some numbering around time periods and history and things that people did that were overtly serving white supremacy more than others or whatever. So at first, I thought you actually said who were the best presidents.
Oh, no.
And then I was like, what fucking right-wing news site are you looking to when you got this list from?
Come on, this is Black Power Media.
No, but that's what I was like, what was happening here? But yeah, I mean, so they are pigs. And actually this goes back into the conversation to pick up around JFK and his brother. JFK was his critique of the Vietnam War, whatever notwithstanding, was never opposed to the Vietnam War, which he helped to escalate. And in some ways, I think it really started under Eisenhower in terms of the U.S. involvement. But JFK picked that banner right up. And so even the ones that they give to us as the most liberal, again, we'll talk a little bit more about this, are always in service to empire. And so that's how I look at them.
So for me, I think we need to go to the experts for questions like this. So I just want to remind some folks of this interview that took place about this question of the presidents.
I noticed that the book was written in different sections, such as the Founding Fathers, the pre-Civil War, the Reconstruction period, and so forth. First, why did you write this book? And then what is the significance of the different sections?
Well, the book came out of a column I did for Black Agenda Report. I wrote a column about Theodore Roosevelt. I had watched a documentary on public television about the Roosevelts. And of course, these things always accentuate.
So with all due respect to Margaret, I just wanted to highlight that I'm sure she would agree that Margaret Kimberly's best interview on her book, Prejudential, about the history of all U.S. presidents being whack, was with my daughter Marley a few years ago. And so I just wanted to share that there a little bit. So yeah, you can certainly go to the platform and watch the rest of that interview. And I would, all jokes aside, encourage people to revisit Margaret's book every time people it's a short, quick read. It covers all the presidents, and is a good reminder that they're have all been whacked, particularly when it comes to Black people, Black liberation, and the consideration of oppressed people in general. They've all been a mess.
I could see Marley doing She Mix What She Like in the future, but continue.
No, her older sister is more likely to want to do. Okay. Marley is an off. She prefers behind the scenes, off camera. She likes to shine in other ways. So
your top four worst.
Well, Reagan is easy just because I grew up in that era, and he died during my wedding. So I'm always quick with. I'll throw George Washington in there because he married Mary Ball, whose family likely enslaved my ancestors and imposed this name on me. She and her crew were among. I think Mary Ball was her name, but the Ball was the huge owners of African people. But yeah, I would be quick with, because we were just in New Orleans where we saw that they still honor in Jackson Square Andrew Jackson in a big monumental celebratory, and I wouldn't even walk in there. And there's one picture my wife tried to get of me, and I was like, I don't want to be pictured in here. I was like, I didn't even know where we were. We walked into this space and I saw Jackson on the ground. I was like, uh-oh.
Isn't he like the known rapist? Well, they are
genocidal, murdering from the indigenous to the Africans, and like he was just aggressive with it. Like everything was just, I want all of them out of here. I want to enslave them, rape them, murder them, everything. He was just horrific. He was just a nightmare. And then he's still right there being praised. I was even a little bit like, come on, New Orleans, like. I even joke with my wife, no disrespect, but I was like, where's Black Lives Matter pulling down the statues at now? Like, what's up? Right. I was not ready for that. I was like, I know I'm in Louisiana, but god damn.
There's an argument to be made that Obama is the worst president because of the cover he gave in terms of using his blackness and his neoliberalism politics, the cover he gave for empire to expand after a time where capitalism was falling on its face because of the Great Recession, that he made it shiny and new again, that allowed, again, Western forces to sort of realign themselves or get capitalism back on its feet again. And he did it through a cover of coolness, blackness, hipness, smartness, and all the rest of it. So there's a case to be made that not the person who is not the overt racist that actually draws out, the divisions in the world or in the country, but the worst are the ones who can actually make those divisions seem like they don't exist and that we're all fighting together. And afterwards they are still moving forth with the imperialist agenda. So there's also a case to be made on the flip side.
And by the way, yeah, right on. I like that. I think I misspoke. Mary Ball Washington was George's mother. And if I remember correctly, she brought the money into that union with the Washingtons because she came from that big plantation enslaving family. So just wanted to clarify that.
Listen, I know we're executive producing a movie on Cuba. I would love to executive produce the movie on Andrew Jackson. That would be a good one coming from us to put out to the world so they can see, who he really was. Because they won't tell it right. But I think find somebody that could tell it right. I think that would be dope. Yeah.
But I just like the blanket statement that as Kamal said, they were all pigs. They are all. I mean, it's just the rogues gallery, as they used to say, right? It's just a lineup of a mess. They're all a mess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It would be good to be I was always curious. It's like one of those weird things about who somebody brought up, talking about which genocider was the worst or whatever. So who has the biggest body count? You know what I mean? In terms of people, because a lot of times, again, people think it's just these conservatives, but Andrew, Johnson, LBJ, in terms of the Vietnam War and other wars in Latin America, and those those numbers are huge or whatever. Obviously, presidents doing the enslavement of African people and slave ships and all that kind of stuff, and those numbers are huge. So it's a little bit of a fascinating side thing. It's like, who always,
Nice.
Bush.
All right,
Leopold got to get a shout out for doing that too.
That dude,
right?
what?
He wasn't a president.
He wasn't a president, but that dude.
Well, I know, but I thought we were talking about like the
genociders in general.
The genocidal,
Yeah.
Shout out to
real.
Cecil Rhodes and my sister that urinated on his grave.
All right.
Damn, I wish I was there for that.
She did that in public. She just took him down, or
I missed that part of the trip. Like we were all in Zimbabwe, and then I went one way, and the sisters this group of sisters went.
Where's he buried? He's buried in Africa.
Cecil Rhodes is in Africa. He's because that was his land. His whole thing. I want from the Cape to Cairo. He was like, this is us. And he was clear. What I always like to remind folks is that Cecil Rhodes was clear. He said the white people of England need to go out and colonize, not only for natural resources, but for the survival of the race. He was like, we got to spread out. We're too overcrowded in these cities. There's going to be a rebellion in London if we don't get some of these pores shipped out to conquer other parts of the world and spread. And then he lamented the break between England and the U.S. And he said, we got to reunite that. And he said, that's what the Rhodes Scholarship was for, forever to leave white men with the understanding that they have to rule in perpetuity. Mm-hmm. So, and she went and found his grave. And if I had permission, I would shout out her name all the time for it. I don't know if I have permission to do that, but shout out to her. And she, found his spot and copped a squat.
Wow.
I mean, I know about some of the people bringing up Rhodes Scholarship and all that kind of stuff. Well, I just assumed that he was buried in his home country. But like you said, he wants everything he thought was his. And I'm shocked that they are allowing, I'm assuming that it's something that's on a tourist trip for people to come see and something like a site on a map.
Yeah, I got to get the story.
God, nobody has just done more than even that. You know what I mean? Like that just seems, never.
We're going to have to come back and do a top 5 killers, like genocidal killers. Anyway, I'll catch you on the next break. Peace.
So I do want
listen,
to go ahead.
Yeah. No, I wanted to reset the thing. So I'm watching this four died trying. So one of my first notes, and again, I'll talk more about this tomorrow, but one of my first notes was that I don't like the died. Let's be clear. Like when Eddie Murphy showed up in that silly movie with the Fred Hampton was murdered shirt or whatever, or Fred Hampton was killed, whatever he said. Now he was assassinated for very particular reasons, which is sort of my point here so then one of the threads that they draw is this critique of Vietnam, that all of these 4 men had a critique of Vietnam, and this is what initiated the targeting. And then they do all of these interviews. Zach Kondo is in there, Peter Bailey's in there. There's a number of others we would recognize in the Malcolm X section in particular, and none of the nightmares that I'm always looking for. I was like, don't you dare put such and such and such and such in it, But it was, and they get into, they argue that Kennedy was trying to draw down the Vietnam conflict, and they do produce some evidence, and they have interviews with people who are going to later share their evidence as to why they think LBJ was involved, because that he did want the war and all this other kind of stuff. In fact, one person is quoted as saying saying that they heard Nixon say over drinks one night that the difference between himself and Johnson was that they both wanted to be president, but only Lyndon was willing to kill Kennedy to do it. So they draw this line, but then they don't, at least in the part that I've seen, and there are more parts that will come out, I don't see them, and because I've seen this happen elsewhere and in other literature, in fact, I'm like, but Malcolm was critical of Kennedy. And this famously led to part of his problems with the nation. He had a different maybe reason for reaching the conclusion that Vietnam was wrong. It almost reminds me of today where you got right-wing people saying, stop funding the war in Ukraine so we can, and it almost sounds like people on the left who are saying stop funding a war in Ukraine, but again, for very different reasons. So I'm just wary. I don't know. I don't know that I'm saying that they're out to do something intentionally wrong. I get what they're trying to do. They're raising serious criticisms about, Kennedy's critique of the CIA and blah blah blah. But I would like for there to be, and I hope at some point someone in the series makes it clear. Malcolm's politics, even King's politics, where they may have reached a similar conclusion on this one issue or maybe another issue, are not the same. They're not the same. They also, by the way, show some interesting forensic evidence in support of Sirhan not being the killer of Robert Kennedy too, which was interesting. But so that's what I thought I would raise as a question for you if we cross paths on this Tuesday morning, and see what you and others in the chat might think about that. But if they've seen something similar, if or maybe I'm just.
So this is a great book on that topic. This is a Chomsky book, Rethinking Camelot, JFK, the Vietnam War, and U.S. political culture, which, it's been there's been a long time period where liberals have tried to reposition Kennedy as sort of a darling who was assassinated because he was turning more left or he was moving away from the Vietnam War. Now, there's some other things about the book that are interesting, but I just found this one real quick in terms of a quick read. Kennedy's commitment to stay the course, talking about Vietnam, was clear to those closest to him. As noted by author Schlesinger, shared JFK's perception of the enormous stakes and his optimism that a military escalation had reversed the aggression of the indigenous guerrillas in 1962. There is not a word in Schlesinger's chronicle of the Kennedy years that hints of any intention, however vague, to withdraw without victory. So I think post-Kennedy's assassination, there's been a lot of things that people, like in anybody's assassination who's a famous political figure, there are people who grab on to tidbits and then try to make that a larger part of who that person was. And even, to folks who are socialist camps. Yes, I will reference Chomsky when Chomsky's correct. Yes, I will. People who took parts of Malcolm and tried to say Malcolm was a socialist. I mean, there's no evidence to suggest that. There's evidence to suggest that Malcolm was anti-capitalist, right? But that's different from suggesting that he was clearly in some particular socialist camp. Doesn't mean like people are like deferring things, talking about what if this had happened. But that's not the same thing as clearly giving evidence from either something the person did and or said that clearly states they took a position. And I think the same thing happens in the review of Kennedy. People are looking for he didn't escalate or he pulled some out during this time. But at no point did Kennedy ever pull out of the pause, right? At no point did Kennedy ever take the troops out of Vietnam. At no point did he defund the Vietnamese leadership that they kept supporting through and through. So the idea that Kennedy was some anti-war hero belies any facts about Kennedy and his record on the Vietnam War. Two, the idea that Kennedy or his brother were these sympathetic figures, even to the civil rights and or civil rights movement, is a total misunderstanding of the record and the ideological positioning of the Kennedy brothers. The Kennedy brothers were the ones who instituted what we can think of as a modern day COINTELPRO program against the early versions of the civil rights movement, right? They were the ones who were tracking MLK They were the ones who was siphoning out who is a so-called communist within Black politics, and then trying to label those folks and get those folks removed in various ways. They were never folks who were, and they used the Black vote for their own positioning in terms of winning elections. But they were never looking for Black liberation. Sure, some top level of not allowing the overtness of Jim Crow to continue because of how that mattered in terms of international relations. They wanted that simmered down. But that's different from having an ideological conviction and or direction towards being in support of Black liberation activities. So to equate the Kennedy brothers, it's even disgusting in a lot of levels to equate the Kennedy brothers to anything, particularly Malcolm, particularly Malcolm, Martin too, but particularly Malcolm was striving for. Malcolm was the ideological enemy of the Kennedys because Malcolm was for Black liberation. And to a certain degree, so was MLK. So MLK was just willing to bargain with the state for a while because he thought that would bring some concessions. And when he broke with the state, many of those people who were in the Johnson administration were carryovers from the Kennedy administration. He was attacked. And so those attacks continued from the Kennedy administration on. Remember, it was under the Kennedy administration that the FBI sent the suicide letter to Dr. King, right? So those who believe the FBI was at some wayward agency, that's complete bull. The FBI was the point agency for a larger U.S. governmental initiative and policy, which was to destroy Black movements. So I'm like, like if you're a little older, you grew up with these pictures of Kennedy and King and
the trifold,
like or Kennedy, King, and RFK, depending on which one you got. Those things are like, once I got political, it's like you can see the shifting and maneuvering of the politics to even think that those folks should be included with each other, but they never should have. They never should have.
So I agree with all of that from Kamau, and then what Silberg is saying. Yeah, I remember, I think, seeing this myself, that Parenti and others have talked about. It's not to say that Kennedy being killed was not significant. I'm not saying that even this documentary is wrong in its assessment of the CIA wanting him to him firing Dulles and all of that, in the Bay of Pigs and all, and him wanting to address the looming threat of the Soviet Union in a different way, maybe, than the CIA. I'm not denying the ruling elite. Always, the late John Judge, I gotta always credit him for this. He always made clear to me the ruling elite are not always on the same team. And his assessment of the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan was that was the Hunt wing versus the Northeast ruling elite wing. And that was the old battle. So I'm not. It's not to say it's not significant. And even as the documentary tries to point out, that this is when the Kennedy assassination is when sort of the deep state or the ensconced power really solidified itself. I'm with all of that. I don't have any. And I'm with all of that they killed all of them. I don't have a problem with that overarching analysis either, or argument either. But it's this nuance that I think needs to be clarified. And it needs to be clarified, as you pointed out, what the Kennedys were vis-a-vis Vietnam, vis-a-vis Black liberation. Even if they want to argue, as this documentary does, that Robert Kennedy was slowly becoming more left, that even in the few months between King's assassination and his own, he was really, quickly realized. All of that. Okay, whatever. But to your point, we don't know where he was going to go and what he was ultimately going to do. But we do know what he did when he was with his brother and the attorney general, whatever his position was, spying on King and doing all that, not sending the National Guard to support the Freedom Riders and all that kind of stuff. They were like, go ahead, get your head knocked off. Go ahead. They were like cool with all of that. And of course, they never say anything about the Kennedys' father and where all that money came from and where all that initial platforming, as we say today, of his sons came from. We don't, all of that. So I want to keep watching, and I'm not, certainly as mad at this documentary as I am at this Marley film stuff, but yeah. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's the only thing that it's the equating of, because I agree with you. I think what you said was perfect in terms of the wings. The ruling class has its own cracks and fissures, right? And people will do a lot to gain, fight for power as they see it. And that includes assassinating their own, right? Because they didn't move fast enough or quick enough, or they adjusted somewhat in a way in which people did not want them to do. So I completely agree with that. Like, I don't think for a second that the assassinations were political assassinations, right? But the reasoning behind the assassinations wasn't because all four of these people shared the same politics and were headed in the same direction and were about to be doing the same things. If John Kennedy had survived, if Robert Kennedy had survived to become president, you still would have had millions of people killed in Vietnam. You still would have had the erasure and the murder and the attempt to destroy Black Power movement and or militant Black movements. All of that would have kept on going like it did under the very so-called liberal Johnson administration, which escalated the Vietnam War at the same time where he was supposedly trying to have a war on poverty. So the idea that these folks were moving in a way that we're going to remove empire from our lives and to put them in the same category as a Martin or a Malcolm, I think those are the things that it's like, I mean, you're muddling, again, you're doing a Cornell West. You're muddling history. You're muddling history to the point where you can't have a true political discussion because you're just throwing in tidbits of this and tidbits of that, and then suggesting that wraps up someone's whole their ideological positioning on these things. And again, I think the evidence is scant that Kennedy would have pulled out of the Vietnam War and all of a sudden allowed Vietnamese communists to take over.
Right.
That was not the positioning of the Kennedy administration.
Remember also, it was under Kennedy that they decided, like, Kennedy, a former naval officer, is behind the impetus for the origins of the SEAL teams. Mm-hmm. So, and then it was Kennedy who presided over the management of the March on Washington and the Big Six. So, yeah, I mean, all of that is, and I love when Africans get confused about their whites. So Ricky, let me just help you a little bit with your whites problem here. No, Catholics are not WASPs, and that's part of the argument as to why the first and only Catholic president that this country has ever had got his head blown off. So that there is part of that also in there. But no, Catholics are not WASPs because the P is Protestant, and obviously they have their issues. So. But yeah, the fissures that Kamal was talking about, I love it. No, I said first. I know Biden may be Catholic or whatever he is. I said the first one. Mm-hmm. They had to let any subsequent Catholics know. We barely let you in this whiteness. Careful.
Stay in check.
And Biden is, staying in his
lane. He's abiding.
He's abiding. And speaking of abiding lanes,
there is no lane for me. I'm all over the place. Come on, man.
Color outside the lines.
Hey, speaking of Malcolm and Martin, Kamal, did you see Dr. Ball get his book shout out on the Breakfast Club?
Yes. We got to talk a little bit about that.
In case you didn't see him get his shout out on the Breakfast Club.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and go there.
With some people who done wrote books and shit about how the myth of the Black economic spending power. I'm not arguing that with niggas, man. Shouts out your book, my nigga. You know what I'm talking about. And you want me on your show and I'm never gonna go, right? But
You know, he doubled down yesterday.
His mind that he has to bring it up.
He doubled down yesterday and said he did me a favor. He said he marketed the book. So thank you, Mike. Now, so
I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. He just needs to have a serious discussion about his politics and why where he's at and why. Like, I mean, again, I do know why, but still. I don't know why. For me, there's some part of me that wants to believe that there's a tiny part of me that wants to believe that Mike could be won over. I know it's ridiculous, but there's that little type. No, he can't. No. But there's a little part of me that thinks. You know what I mean? It's almost like you because again, listening to the music. I was older when I discovered sort of Killer Mike and started listening to the music for myself. But there were some great lyrics when you talked about Reagan and all that shit and what we need. This shit was real strong. So I was just like, I know this dude is about whatever. And so to see him today with every time he gets a chance, he's talking about his jewelry and his cards and stuff like that. It's just, yeah.
I think you get them two I think you get them two in a room, they're gonna come out on a peaceful note. And I really do. I think it's really everything that's around where they can sit down and have a real conversation, which they haven't. I think that's what it is. So
I think he's just Cornell Westing. If we're going to coin that as a new behavior, he's just muddying. I did forget, and this might be part of it. Because I did mention him by name in the book as with a similar critique of Jay-Z. Now, if I could get Jay to be as upset with the book and say something. Now we're talking. So because don't forget, I called out Jay-Z and Beyonce. If either one of them,
Beyonce, can you please
leak it to the hive? Leak it to the hive.
Please do a diss track, something. Jay, get the pen working, or the pen you don't use. Could you get it working? And please. Give me one of them, even one of them.
One hate, yeah, one hate, one
where you don't say my name. I'm never coming on your show. You know what I'm talking about. Please, Jay.
Yeah,
oh, man. You get it all right here on the Remix Morning Show. Make sure y'all hit that like button. It's our three years we celebrating here, so thank y'all for all tuning in, and let's keep this thing going. Let's take a quick break and come back with some more right here on the Remix Morning Show. That hard bass right there. Big up everybody tuning in right here right now. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Make sure I hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com, become a member over there, see footage that's rare, and share. And you can drop some change right here in the chat room. We would definitely appreciate that. Put your name up on the screen and give you a shout out. That's what we do right here. All right, boom. Let's get into it. You know I like to give artists spotlights. They spotlight. So who am I going to talk about right here, right now? Let's get to Toby Nwigwe. Yes, let's get to him right here. All right, let's talk about him straight out of Texas. We talk about that Houston area. He's a rapper, singer, and actor. You know, he has been in a Netflix television special called Mo, and he also got nominated for Best New Artist at the Grammys. Like I said, he's out of Texas, but his descent is Nigerian. And, you know, he was dabbling with some being a Catholic, but he was like, all right, let me try some other things. And he got away from that. So big up to him. He did his thing in football for a minute, messed his ligaments up and couldn't do that. So he started doing nonprofit, which helps give gifts and aid to people in need of financial literacy and independence. So we know how that is sometimes. And he's married to the sister, as you see right there, Fat. They met through the organization, and after that, he just started putting out music on social media every Sunday, dropping new songs, and that pretty much took him over the top. He got into the BET Cypher, and people was like, "Oh, yo, this dude is nice." Wound up getting on PJ Morton's album Paul, and did his Tiny Desk concert, and they was like, yo, this guy's nice. He's worked with a lot of people, talking about Pharrell, talking about D Smoke, Black Thought, Royce 5'9", Justin Timberlake, everybody. But he got like 10 projects you could check out. He also won 2 NAACP Image Awards, and like I said, Best New Artist for the Grammy Awards. So big up to this brother right here as he continues to bring some consciousness and creativity in the video. We ain't seen creativity in videos like that since Missy and now Tierra Whack. So big up to this brother and his family. All right, with that said, let's get back to the Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do.
Got the juice on guard. I got the juice. I got the juice. I got push Bishop off the roof. I got the juice. I got push Bishop off the roof.
I'm not familiar, but it seems like the chat is not his biggest fan. Maybe I'm not sure the chat is in agreement. But this is all new to me. The babies look beautiful though. Shout out to the babies.
Yeah, nah, he got some joints. He got some stuff he's talking about, some things in it. And he got a song with Moo Fresh, which is pretty dope too. So yeah, check. Oh,
now
yeah, he
we
got
talking.
a video. He got a video with her and everything.
Now we talking.
I mean, so they don't know everything. You know the chat think they do.
I told you she did the sound bath at that conference that I was at a couple weeks ago. I had never done one of these sound baths, and it was dope.
Our own Piper caught a podcast, sending in 20 beans. Thank you. Shout out to BPM 3-year anniversary. The founders
She did
in
this
the
the
chat
other day. We
for
are paying
building
her
a
way too
platform
much.
that aims to serve the people a critical choice. Man, she got deep pockets. Y'all better leave Piper alone, man. Actually,
We gotta
don't
slow
leave her
down
alone.
some of
Come
these
check
checks.
Yeah, check out Beyond Breaking Barriers, one of the dope shows here on Black Power Media.
Piper, who's
And she
a
just
member
interviewed
in Detroit too.
Right on.
You know
I think
what
she
I'm
just interviewed Dr. Gaunt. I didn't get to see the show, but Kira Gaunt was on her show the other day or yesterday, I think. So check that out as well.
Right.
Somebody had said something I wanted to. Now I lost it. Anyway, whatever. Sorry about that. I lost.
It's
the
all
comment.
good.
Oh no, this was the comment. David Silberg. Oh, whoops, my bad. Sorry about that. David Silberg. This I think is for you, Kamal. Malcolm also said that if you found a white person that didn't seem to have a racist outlook, it would turn out that the person was a socialist. Honestly, don't remember that line. I thought he was saying the person was a Muslim. I thought his point was that white people who were in Islam were salvageable.
Michael went back and forth on that, and like I got a bunch of things. And I saw some of that discussion in the chat saying that he was basically a socialist. And again, you can call him a socialist, but Malcolm never said that he was a socialist. He never wrote anything that said he was a socialist. Yes, he called capitalists bloodsuckers. And yes, he said a lot of disparaging and true things about the system of imperialism and capitalism. But you can do that and not necessarily define your politics as socialism. And it doesn't mean, of course, you play that game of like what he could have been and would have been if he had survived a little longer. But as we were talking about the other day too, it's like, were we talking about that on this program? Where it was like that whole game of Malcolm, like what if Malcolm had lived? And we were saying, I think it was me and you were saying, there is no what if. Because if they didn't kill Malcolm in 65, they would have killed Malcolm in 66 or 67 or 68, right? So we could play that game of like what he could have been, and it doesn't mean he was not anti-capitalist, but that's different from a group of folks who have their own political ideology, claiming Malcolm as their own, which is something that started to happen after Malcolm's assassination, right? You had groups, particularly white socialist organizations, that were putting out Malcolm's speeches, and God bless them for doing it because it got a wide array of people to hear Malcolm. But they also tried to maneuver Malcolm into a camp that, again, he never said he was in. And so we can take him for what he was and celebrate that and learn from that and use that as we should. But we should not be drawing these distinctions and trying to suggest that people are things that they never said. Now, Dr. King did say he was a socialist. He wrote about it, and so forth. So Dr. King was a socialist. He did say that. So
Well, let me go get my mix ready for the end of the show. I see we made it up to 500 people watching today. So big up to all y'all. We need to get them likes up too. And thank y'all for all tuning in Sundays as we did the King and Queens edition. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. I'll catch y'all at the end of the show. Peace.
Right on, right on. So I to the extent I'm following this, I think I get Ricky's point about semantics, and he was a revolutionary Pan-Africanist. So what's ultimately the difference? And to me, that is the point, though, that there's a difference between the George Brightman Pathfinder Press crew reaching socialism through their European perspectives, traditions, and an African reaching socialism through the lens of Pan-Africanism, revolutionary nationalism, et cetera, and so forth. And that, in terms of certainly the documentary we're talking about, or what the sort of the basis of this part of the conversation, that is the distinction I think needs to be made as we're talking about how people get there. So I would agree that there's a lot of overlap. And Malcolm clearly had an affinity for what would be considered socialist politics. But there is that. But the Brightman Pathfinder crew was trying to do something. They were trying to curate Malcolm in a certain way and highlight a certain politic while not maybe fully omitting, but de-emphasizing another. And I think that misses the point. So, I think it's important that, as we even talk around here, we have the Rodneyists, the AAPRP are Nkrumah Terrorists, Cabralists. I call myself, I'm all of that, but I like the George Jacksonists. There's I just think the differences are important. Where the overlap needs to be highlighted and remembered and built on for sure. But yeah, so that's.
No. I mean, people are talking in the chat, so I don't mind continuing with it because I think Malcolm did call himself a black nationalist, and that's what I knew Malcolm as, a black nationalist. So y'all can say, you could say he joined this organization or that organization. That's true, but Malcolm called himself a black nationalist until the day he died, despite somebody else's quotes that they attributed to Malcolm. Claiming that he was not calling himself that anymore. You look at speeches, statements, organizational records of the Organization of Afro-American Unity. He clearly called himself a black nationalist. And yes, I think he would be a fellow traveler or whatever. But he did not, in any written documents or public statements, refer to himself as such. So,
and it seems to me
people may consider that to be semantics, but I don't. Like, I'm not putting somebody on something that they never publicly or infer or written about or whatever, right? And so until the other evidence is produced, kick rocks.
He did also say Pan-Africanism. He was a Pan-Africanist. The OAU is obviously modeled after the OAU. He was obviously doing the work of Pan-Africanism, so certainly. But to me, that's also important because the Brightmans of the world wouldn't talk about Pan-Africanism. They're not interested in that. And I obviously am biased to think that that's essential and as Dr. Clark would remind everyone as often as he could, the charter for the OAAU was formed with Malcolm on Clark's living room floor or whatever, and the kitchen table or whatever they were talking, So, and Clark obviously, his last words were probably literally Pan-Africanism or perish. So, I mean, that's where that's the trajectory, taking that nationalist basis or whatever. Mm-hmm. But all of that is what I think needs to be in part of the discussion. And when people just, and I'm oversimplifying, but when the Brightman Pathfinders of the world want to just say, no, he was a socialist, it's like,
He could have had socialist tendencies. He obviously was left leaning. And again, in private conversations, he could have. But until somebody produces those records and that information, people would sort of be hard pressed to suggest that just because they subscribe to a certain politics and they're inferring things, that means that the person that is held up also completely subscribe to those politics.
I mean, he knew enough to sit down with Castro. He knew enough. He knew what the importance of that. He knew all. So he was clear about the internationalist piece. He was clear, and again, so that to me is part of the point. He's looking at the critique of Vietnam from this radical nationalist or Pan-Africanist anti-colonial lens. He's not looking at the problem of Vietnam from the lens of the Kennedys and what's going to upset Western capital. So the critique could be the same or could be similar of the same situation, but for different reasons. In the same way, I'm trying to suggest Malcolm's approach to socialism is not the same as the Brightmans of the world. So, yeah, but yeah, so
yeah.
You know.
And I don't remember the OAU having socialist written in there. I'll use a Hiram quote, even though he won't like it because I think he's on the opposite side. But read, beloved, read. Don't infer, read. It's okay if just because you have politics that he didn't explicitly declare your politics. It's okay.
You just don't read, beloved.
Ricky's getting it's the all caps.
It's all caps. It's all caps.
What does it mean to be revolutionary Pan-Africanist?
At the very least, it does mean an overthrow of capitalism, but it certainly doesn't mean that the replacement system is socialism. It can mean different things. It can mean hybrid. There's a part of Malcolm towards the end of his life when he said he had friends in all different areas, capitalists, socialists, communists. He said, what are you inferring through that?
So I get it. The Nkrumah definition certainly is Pan-Africanism is unified Africa under scientific socialism. But I do on that I will agree with Kamau. I don't remember that phrase being uttered or written by Malcolm. So my only thing, and I don't know that it needs to be how we're headed in what direction is. I think that's the important part, and then where that common direction is can be built upon. Let's just not ignore the different tributaries people are taking. I think that's important. What am I? I'm in the party. I know. What did I get wrong? Did I get something wrong? Did I misrepresent the party's line? I'm in the AAPRP. Oh. Did I get the party line wrong? Did I? I'm not. I didn't. I'm still, with my little study group. But so I.
No distinctions. Any distinctions or semantics. Don't worry about that, brother. Just follow the party line. Follow the party line.
And then Yipper, my constant. Yeah, I'm in that one too. I'm in that one too. I'm in that. I'm in.
That's the most important party right now. That's the most important.
Back in the day, if you would have got your lessons wrong, if you was a 5%er, you would have got a universal beatdown. So you better get it right.
Before you get kicked out of Morgan, you might get kicked out of the party.
Just be getting put out of so many different formations. This is a mess. Ooh. My bad. I'll await the next conversation or email for sure.
Yes. Well, you have to go to the education class to follow.
Yeah, clearly, I don't know what I got wrong on that one, but I'm just saying, and I don't remember us actually reading yet where Malcolm said any of that. I'm just going to double down with Kamau.
Come all the way over to the dark side. Make them matter.
Oh man, yeah. Wait, better get the after party PE right. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, it's a mess. All right, so let me just.
I don't have a story, but I would. Oh,
yeah, go ahead. No.
So I was at this event. I'm gonna not name the event because I wasn't there at the particular day and time this was uttered. I'm leaving all parties out of it in a sense, but the new tagline from the Black liberal folks is that as opposed to saying lesser of two evils, the way they are going after supporting Biden is you don't pick our enemies. So this is something that was brought out at this event where folks were talking about, Black organizing and so forth. And this person does explicitly voting rights work. And, their contortion around, why is Hiram calling me while I'm on the air? Why is he actually literally trying to blow up my phone?
The remixes don't have any respect, man. There's no respect. We might as well just all be in the same living room. You know what I'm saying? They're like, what? They're producing the show. They're calling, texting during the show. I'm getting text. Renee texted me. I don't even know what it says. I'm scared to look. Probably saying, you wrong.
We're at the side.
Look, because you wrong, Kamal. Because you wrong, beloved. He's trying to call you.
Wrong, beloved. I will call you back afterwards. But so they said they were like, I guess they're giving the new line, which I guess it was like a tryout line, a trial balloon line. But it was on so again, as opposed to saying, lesser two evil stuff, it's like you don't get to pick our enemies.
But I don't think I get it.
Where that both are our enemies, but we get to decide who we're going to fight against. So we rather fight against Biden than Trump.
So that's again, the version of what. Yeah. Okay, because with Renee on she played I think Ras Baraka saying something like that, or somebody like that saying it's not the lesser of evils, it's the easier target, or the easier enemy, or the weaker enemy, or something like that. It's some. So that's I see it's the rebranding taking effect. So you don't pick our enemies. Like, it sounds tough to vote for Biden.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like they don't pick our enemies. We pick our enemies. You know what I mean? It's got more oomph to it than lesser two evils. But it's the same damn thing, right? It's the same conversation. And so they were saying this at a space of like Black organizers. So, and even again, I wasn't there for that particular statement, but later on in another section I was in, like these people very well understood the connotations of it and why, and the pushback around who Biden is, right? So people saw that. Just like, there's no way people can walk around and try to get us to vote for someone in the middle of committing genocide and think that,
No, but they are. I mean, Roland Martin had and I got to credit him. I said again, it was very well argued, articulated. He's got the rap down as to why we got to support Biden. They're doing all the rebranding you're talking about. But anyway, speaking of rebranding and correcting any errors,
you don't get to pick our poison. We do.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go do what you want me to do anyway, but because I want to do it.
I'm gonna die on my terms.
That's how I deal with my wife. I'm gonna do it my way your way because I want to do it. Yeah, I'm doing what you told me to do, but because
you got to do it in the preacher voice. You got to be like, you don't pick our enemy, beloved.
Right.
We pick our enemy, and have the congregation stand up and like,
amen. Let the church say amen.
Preach.
Hallelujah.
Oh man, that is hilarious.
Wow. That's the world we live in. So today, Testosterone Tuesdays. I'm glad y'all all came through. You know what I'm saying? And we are going to rock out again tomorrow with Women's Wednesdays. We got some things coming up. So thank you all for all tuning in. We made it up to 500 today. Hope we could make that thing happen tomorrow and Thursday. And all for the shows we got. Let's bring them up. Let's bring it up. Let's raise it up. And thank you all for having us for 3 years. And let's continue to keep this train going. That's it. Y'all got anything else to say before we get into this mix and get out of here? All right, let's do it.
Yes.
know the shit is real.
You can't front. Straight to my toes, making shit that hit. The brothers often say that the quiet poor head is like a bad motherfucker. Now rule bread and uptown fed to the head, daddy. What? Listen up. Hey, yo, don't beat me over the head with that dumb shit, dad. This is the type of shit I do. And diamond me and you, along with your crew and the Nubians too, made up some next shit. Hey, yo, but whilst it off the skit by bringing this whole soul over, got no control over who plays in the rough. But I'm the future, yo, buck. This shit is hot.
Don't you know how I feel?
Every time you call my crib to get some wreck, shit is real. I come with herbs, first, always a step ahead. You can't nap on the gap, cause it's wide. The X will provide, also decide who get the gas. But if your shit sound trash, you gotta go. You got a lot of stove, yo.
Y'all thought we wasn't gonna do it? We doing it right here on the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. You got Dr. Jared Ball, you got Kamal K. Franklin, and we going in, y'all. Let's do it. And we out of here, y'all. Remix Morning Show. Peace. Take me out of here, Dr. Jared Ball.